All right, so now we are going into age 3. This setup is the setup for how I would rank all of the cards for the base game of Seven Wonders Duel. I would rank Moneylenders Guild and the Builders Guild at the top, and I would rank all of these cards that I hardly remember their names at the bottom. But I would put the science cards a little bit differently if I'm looking at the Pantheon expansion, which is what this video is about. The Pantheon expansion, how that affects the base game. So that is going to make me really change up a lot of things. So let's move everything down a little bit. So yeah, let's move all these yellow cards down, and let's use these military cards and move them up because it's no longer important um, to be losing, or if you want to lose in military so you have a scientific edge, you'll start in the next stage. Well, there's no age 4, so military cards become a heck of a lot more important to grab. You don't want to lose in military, but point cards become a lot less valuable. There are no guild cards, so we'll get rid of those right now. No Moneylenders Guild, no nothing. Right? But instead, we are replaced with these these uh, Grand Temples. Now, the Grand Temples, let's move them all up. Probably B tier. These are more point cards. And I'm not really going to rank the temples so much. Maybe it doesn't really matter what I do with the temples because at the end of the day, like, it's situational which one ends up becoming free. And yeah, you just grab the temples and they're worth 5 points, 7 points, or 9 points, depending on how many you already have, for a total of 5 for 1, 12 for 2, and then 21 for 3. And if you can get all 21 of those points, you could offset the game and win in points, even if you don't have stone. And that's really crazy when that happens. Something to be said though, that the Greek temple does cost 3 stone, so be aware of that. If you do think that you may end up needing to go for points, taking a Greek symbol early in age 1 may be helpful because your backup is points, but you're not grabbing stone. You're okay if you have a Greek god. Um, with Egyptian, yeah, not having clay is okay if you have the Egyptian token. Yeah, not having glass, the Roman token, not having papyrus, the Phoenician token, not having wood, the Mesopotamian token. But that's kind of what I'm seeing there as far as how those might matter. Um, the real thing that you want to be paying attention to, though, is these science cards. And so, no guilds in the Pantheon expansion. We're looking at the science cards and where those flush out. So, as you might have guessed, they go into the S tier. And I want to, putting them in S tier does little for explaining the real strategy that goes into this. But I like tier lists, so I just make a tier list. Uh, when you get one, the other one becomes vastly less important, but it does give you a progress token. It may give you law though, so then it becomes about the same level. Because if law gives you your 6th science token, that's a game-winning thing. That should be an S tier. Yeah. So yeah, game winning, game winning, game winning, game winning. No real order. I would say these ones are cheap, usually free. These ones are expensive, usually pretty costly. For me, a lot of times they end up being like 8 coins because I'll either there's a 3 triple resources that you need for a science strategy, and that is wood, glass, and papyrus. If you are missing 2 of those 3, you're gonna pay a lot of coins for these guys. But oftentimes I just only grab the wood, and I'm missing out on the gray cards, and so these 2 become extremely expensive. Something to note: one of them, the Academy. You got the Academy and the Study. The Academy really costs a lot of glass, and so if you only have access to one, You need to make sure you have the coins to afford these science cards. Maybe you're running on a low margin of how much coins you have by the end. You've spent all your coins on god cards, and any more coins that you're going to get are from discards because you don't have the resources to be able to afford very many cards. So that's how that's going to go, is put all the science cards that you would need on S tier and any of the military cards you would need on A tier. Because if I mean, put it even higher, obviously, if it's going to help you win the game. But these are where they generally end up. I generally put all the science cards in S tier. Generally, military cards are taken after that because I want to, even if the military is even, I want to push a little in military because maybe I could just end it in military before they win in science. Maybe we're both going for science. This lighthouse becomes a lot less useful. Might give me a bunch of coins though, but at this point I'm not really focused on grabbing coins. Yeah, maybe we'll put those two right there. They'll give me a little bit of coins, each of those, but yeah, like your main focus should be in getting the coins you need to finish out the game, whether military or science. If it has to come down to points, then yeah, that's my third thing that I sometimes need to do is go down to points, and then I grab a Grand Temple, and so grab 3 Grand Temples, and so that is how that goes, and hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you have any strategy tips for age 3, particularly let me know if you have a way to deal with if somebody is crushing you in points and they block you in science. What is your path? Do you tend to go for a military at that point? Seems obvious. Or do you try to compete with points and go for Grand Temples? Um, any strategy tips you have, feel free to leave them in the comments. And hopefully you all enjoyed this video.